Hi, it's Rob Cuesta. Welcome to Seven Figure Secrets. You're about to watch an interview with one of the millionaire mentors who helped me earn my first $1 million. And I ran these interviews because I came to the realization that the things that had got me to six figures were also the things that were keeping me at six figures. So, in this interview, I'm going to ask the mentor, what do they do differently now? How do they think differently now than they did before they were millionaires? What do they do to get their business to where it is, and how is it different from how it was? How do they staff it? How do they manage it? What's their role in the business? I've asked them to give you the exact blueprint for running a 7 or an 8 figure business. So please watch very carefully, take lots of notes, and underneath the video, please feel free to leave comments about the things that you've learned and the things that you're going to do in your own business. For now, enjoy the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hi, we're here in Digital Cafe Studios in a beautifully sunny San Diego. And I'm here with somebody who has completely transformed the way that people brand themselves online, brand themselves in the real world, and build up a real international reputation. And it is one of my personal heroes and mentors, Mike Koenigs.
Well, thank you.
So welcome. And thank you for inviting me to this
Exactly. It's nice to be here in my studio with you.
Yes.
So what do we have today?
What have we got today? Well, one of the things I wanted to know was really how you got here. I mean, this is not your usual backyard garage studio, and we're here in San Diego, but you're not the typical, the laid-back, cool surfer dude who goes into internet marketing. You're not the fast-moving East Coaster. Mm-hmm. You know, where did you come from, and how did you end up here?
Okay. Well, and one of the things I want to hear is your personal story. I'll give you my personal story. I want to hear, because one of the reasons why we're here is because you've had a pretty remarkable transformation too. So I'll answer your question. No, I'm not Frank Kern. And I am, my own guy. So the answer is really a lot of hard work. Yeah. I've been working full time since I was 16 years old. So about 30 years to get to this place right now, and a lot of studying and researching and a lot of mistakes. Yeah. And I have always been interested in computers and technology and electronics and video games and music and movies. And part of the reason why I built the studio that we're in today is because I love television. Yeah. I love the power of it. I love the ability to be able to produce compelling content that transforms lives. And television doesn't do a very good job of that, but entrepreneurs have an opportunity to change lives. And right now, more than ever before, I believe that the cure for the world's ills are to support entrepreneurs and create an integrated, holistic life in addition to supporting them with their business needs. Yeah. So that doesn't directly answer the question, but I grew up in a small town in Minnesota. My dad is a barber. He's still at 75 years old, still cuts hair. Wow. He treats a lot of women with cancer and fits them with wigs during their chemotherapy treatments. And he plays guitar and entertains people who are actually his age now at rest homes. I don't know what they call them these days. I'm sure there's a politically correct term.
Yes. Sunset.
They used to call them old folks' homes when I grew up. But so I grew up in
mansions or something.
Yeah. So I grew up in an entrepreneurial environment, lower middle class, and really I never wanted to be in my parents' position, which is always struggling and having no leverage, which is my dad has been trading time for money his whole life. There's been very little leverage. Like and everyone in my neighborhood was that way as well. And to this day, and this isn't intended to be anything, I love where I came from. And my parents still live in the same home that they bought when they got married, that I was raised in after 50 years now. And so I always wanted to be rich. And it took me a long time to understand and realize that becoming rich didn't have to do with what you do, but who you are and how you think. Yeah. And so my quest has been on this do, learning skills and figuring out how to learn tricks, when it took me until not that long ago to kind of figure out that really the secret has to do with how you think and who you surround yourself with, and becoming valuable and attractive to that which you want to be that you're attracted to, right? It's really, you have to become attractive to that which you want to attract.
Yeah.
In any case, I've had a bunch of businesses, did a lot of online marketing. I taught myself to program early at age 14, and then really got into video and then online video. But go ahead and ask some more questions, and hopefully it gives you a little backgrounder.
Yeah. So one of the things for me is, it'll come back when I talk about my story, is that it took me 10 years to make my first million. And that's over those 10 years. It's not like 10 years in, I suddenly made
I know, but congratulations.
a whole one. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It takes you considerably less time to make $1 million these days. What's the fastest you've done it?
Okay, well, the short answer to that is a few years ago, we made $1 million in 43 minutes. I like to say 43 minutes in 20 years to get there, right?
What did you do? Did you have to rob a bank, sell drugs, traffic humans across the border?
Nothing illegal. What I did is I created a product that spoke directly to an audience. In other words, what we call our perfect avatar.
Yeah, which is really important.
Had a great offer with no risk, a money-back guarantee that promised to teach them how to do local marketing for small businesses and make money doing it.
Yeah.
And that message, the videos that we put out, resonated so well with an audience that we cultivated a relationship with, that when we opened up our shopping carts, it was like in 43 minutes, the first $1 million. And I was literally on the phone with my mom at the time, telling her what had happened.
Yeah.
That an hour and 14 minutes later, we hit $2 million in sales. And over the course of that week, we sold $9.1 million worth of products and had a live camera broadcast, kind of like what we are now, except with 2,000 people watching, and we sold...
hey, there could be 2,000 people watching right now.
You could, yeah. Well, we sold $3.1 million in one broadcast worth of products. And part of that was market timing and the right market conditions, a whole bunch of perfect storms that coalesced all at once. But it goes to show that when you position yourself as an expert and authority, and you understand who your audience is and what their pains and what their desires are and what their ambitions are, and you can deliver that message with proof that there's a clear opportunity with low risk and an easy way to try something out and get involved, they're just going to be like, and with scarcity, right?
Yeah,
you have to do the
scarcity,
people will be like, holy cow, I need that right now.
No, that's, and all of those are key. I know that for a lot of people, the hardest thing is actually figuring out what that avatar is and figuring out, because they feel like they're narrowing it down too much. They don't want to focus on one person. But
well, the illusion that you have to be attractive to everyone, and you in effect become attractive to no one.
Yeah.
And and that has to do with being authentic and having an authentic message with an authentic audience that they raise their hand and they say, this is me, here's what I need, and I resonate with you. Yeah. And I think a few of my favorite words are resonance and harmony, because that's really what you're doing is,
that's what
a communication is like music, just like a movie is, and you have to harmoniously connect and communicate with an audience. So it's great.
Yeah. How did you get to understand them so well?
Well, I made a lot of mistakes, and the story I would like to tell you is back when, if we kind of turn back the Wayback Clock, so when I started online marketing, it was in about 1991, okay, and that's back when there were bulletin boards and Prodigy and CompuServe, and America Online didn't even exist.
Wow.
Yet, okay? So I had an agency called Digital Cafe. And I started sitting on some, at the time there were little bulletin boards, and posting some messages that we had developed some screensaver technology and we're doing screensavers to promote products and services.
Right.
And someone asked me a few questions. Well, it turned out to be a representative from 20th Century Fox. And he said, we have a new movie coming out. Would you create a screensaver for our new movie? Because they wanted to create some engagement vehicle that could be distributed online and given away. And this is back when you were paying by the minute to be connected online through a 1200 baud modem, okay? And
over the phone
some
line.
people are like, what is that? You know,
When you could literally watch email messages being typed on the screen.
Yeah, coming across, you saw your read, man. It was like, oh my God. You know, back when you got mail, it used to be a good thing, and pretty soon it was like 100 messages, and you waited 10 minutes, and you're like, I just spent $2 to get email. What the?
And it was all spam.
Yeah. Well, this is pre-spam.
Oh, this is pre-spam.
This is back before you'd sign up to get a bunch of spam. Okay, right. There was no internet. Okay.
Yeah.
But here's what happened that was pretty interesting is I picked up that client, and then I picked up a few more, and pretty soon we were, and this is like a couple of bumpkins in Minnesota with a little agency. We had Hollywood clients, and they were flying us out to meet them because we had some really interesting, rare skills that no one else had. And that later turned into, we ended up developing a video game called Cuesta that got shipped in 6 million boxes of breakfast cereal.
Wow.
And we called ourselves promotional entertainment creators. And we did...
But you presumably created the term.
We made up the word, right? But
what do we call ourselves?
We created interactive video games that also, so in interactive movies, we were one of the first to do that as well. So, but as this evolved, when I got exposed to online marketing the first time, there was someone selling a whole bunch of tools online. He sold 1,000 copies for $1,000.
Wow.
And he made $1 million in a week.
Yeah.
And I was completely blown away with that idea, and it was like, okay, then I'm hooked.
Yeah.
And I started buying all sorts of information products, and at that point there were ebooks that sold for like $20 to $100. That was the way we learned. The $1,000 price point was like, who has the guts to do that? And at the time I had sold my first company, Digital Cafe, to a large advertising agency. But again, it was always me inventing stuff and having to implement it. I had no leverage.
Yeah.
The big game here was leverage is what email. It's sort of like if you could write a sales letter, and this is before online video really worked.
So it was lots and lots of text.
Pre-YouTube. You could get people and then do teleseminars and get people to show up and get them to buy something. So that kind of thing evolved, and eventually I created a product called the Internet Infomercial Toolkit. And what I did is I met a whole bunch of people who had made successful television infomercials, including Joe Sugarman, who did the blue blocker sunglasses, and a variety of other big names at the time. Tim Hawthorne was another one. He did all the Time Life infomercials. So what I wanted to do is figure out how to influence and persuade people to buy stuff using video but put it online.
Right.
And
at a time when nobody was using video online.
That's right. And what wound up happening was created the product, and I also was simultaneously creating another product called Everything You Should Know About Publicity, Publishing, and Building a Platform with a woman named Arielle Ford, who has represented 11 #1 New York Times bestselling authors.
Wow.
So what we did is each of those products started selling them online, and through the course of this process, I got to know my customers and find out who they were, what they did, what their pains were, what their dreams and fantasies were. And again, these products we kind of made in a bubble, which is a mistake these days, but thank God it was the right product at the right time. It resonated and it sold.
Yeah.
Well, from the knowledge I gained from the infomercial toolkit, I created my own tool to distribute videos online when YouTube came to pass, which automated getting your content out there that got search engine rankings.
Yeah, which is...
Again, and I showed it to someone, they said, oh my God, I'll pay you if I can use it. Okay, and then I told someone else I met, and he says, I'll pay you to use it, and I'll pay you more if the other guy, if you don't let him use it. Basically, one guy said, I'll pay you $10,000 for your tool. Someone else says, I'll give you $25,000 if you let me use your tool exclusively and you don't let the other guy use it. It was like this competition.
So now you're in a bidding war.
They're in the same business. I thought, well, and at the point I had a business partner, and we said, well, let's just turn this into a product and sell it.
Yeah.
Well, from there, I started seeing how a lot of our customers and clients were using our tools to become highly paid online marketing consultants and do video marketing for customers and clients. Something I hadn't, it was what I was doing.
But you didn't think somebody else would take it and do it.
So we ended up surveying our customers and asking them, what are you doing and what's working? And I found all these amazing success stories. People were using the tools.
Yeah.
From there, we started creating courses and programs that supported their dreams, their visions, their pains, and their fantasies, I guess you could say. So it's a long-winded, long way of answering your question, but it really comes down to when you start working with clients and customers, and you understand who they are, what they need, what they're succeeding with, and you give them more of that, they'll happily pay you more money if they understand that this gives them leverage. It's a multiplier, an income multiplier.
Yeah.
Give them a guaranteed return on their investment or their money back.
Yeah, you've always got to make it safe for them.
You can sell millions of dollars worth of products in hours.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
But I think a lot of them, a big mistake that a lot of businesses make is that they create something that's successful, and then they kind of sit back on their laurels and they don't adapt. Which
I've done it.
Yep.
Yeah, I've made. If you want to line up mistakes made, but there's a great phrase I love. It's fail fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fail fast
And
then move on.
And I actually am working with a PhD, a double PhD, who studies brains, and it turns out that most entrepreneurs have this. It's called a D2, D4 dominant gene pattern. All it means is that we are cursed with urgency and an ominous fear that something horrible is about to happen, which causes us to constantly move. Now, that's also called ADD in some areas, but also we're afraid that something is going to hurt us, kill us, or take everything away that we've worked for.
Yeah.
So it creates a great environment for you to constantly create stuff because you're afraid something horrible is about to happen.
I got to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, so that's why mood-altering chemicals are a bad idea for a lot of entrepreneurs. It just so happens. Yeah, exactly. Can't do them.
Yeah, but we don't need them.
No, exactly.
We've got mood-altering businesses.
We're on the edge of paranoid attacks all the time. Yeah. All right, moving right along.
Yeah, got to keep ahead of the curve. So, I mean, I wish that we could say that success was a smooth journey. And I know I've had some challenges of my own in getting to where I am. So 3 years in from starting my business, having been, I left a nice, safe, well-paid corporate job.
Yeah, but you were bored.
I was bored to tears.
Yeah.
And if my boss is watching, sorry, but you knew that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So I was making over $100,000 a year and went cold turkey. I didn't do I'll try and start a business in my spare time. No, I just went, here's my resignation. I'm going to go and do this.
Wow.
3 years later, 3 years later, I was almost on the verge of bankruptcy. It was down to the last £5-10. It's about $7-8.
I know what that's like.
It's kind of like, how the hell am I going to pay the mortgage this month? Oh, I know. I'll put it on credit cards. Really smooth, really
Well, I
smart
financed
move.
a company on credit cards for a while, so I understand.
Yeah, then the bank wants payment for the credit card, so you borrow on the bank statements, and then you have to remortgage the house to repay the loans. And
I got it, yeah.
I spiraled down and reached that point where I was $160,000 in debt.
Yeah.
No clients, no business. And I thought, I've got to do something.
Yeah.
And for me, it was that discovery of leverage that you were talking about before. And then, within 12 months, I was making $150,000, $160,000 a year.
That's not too
And then 2008 came along. And what had been working nicely disappeared again.
Right.
Yeah.
Cyclical market
And
thing.
it's-
That's, 2008 was a marker. 2011 was a marker.
Yeah.
We're in right now worldwide what I consider a business hostile environment where governments are overreaching. It is very difficult to do business. You've got what I consider predatory behaviors between taxes and regulations, and it's very, very difficult to run a business just with those things. Not to mention a dwindling middle class.
Yep.
No credit.
Yeah.
And
lots of confidence in the markets as well. So our clients and
an
customers
enormous. You've got a lot of very talented people, and you've got a lot of people who have no skills.
Yeah.
They just don't have any usable skills, and we live in a very challenging time. So go ahead and ask that question. What was it? Or was it more like a statement about the impending doom before we get to some,
absolutely,
some
yes.
promise?
Give me some, let's sow some doom and gloom in the eye.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask was, what's the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome?
Well, all those things, certainly, it's look, a lot of the things that we used to do from a marketing perspective don't work anymore. You've got a cynical environment and less money and buying behaviors, et cetera, et cetera. And so, in terms of, I think the most important thing is you have to be a student all the time, and you've got to take a lot of small risks, okay? And, taking that big risk that you took, a big ballsy risk, which is put in your resignation. There's something to be said for burning the ships behind you, from mythological times forward. But also, I think, look, great selling is great selling. And understanding that having an ideal avatar, a perfect customer, and speaking and communicating to their pains, their desires, their needs, in a way that resonates with them, and providing a great offer that solves the problems, gives them a good way out, again, a money-back guarantee, and an easy way to get involved and sample it with some level of proof is the secret. That has always been that way. And on a positive note, what we have these days is we have the beauty of an internet where if you create your content, you can distribute it to virtually every connected device and have access to the majority of the planet and publish for free and leverage billions of dollars worth of infrastructure, okay? So today, if you'd say, okay, now this is something I've been thinking about. I've been watching a lot of 1970s bands and music videos and watching, there's one in particular, there's a concert I love. Freddie Mercury from Queen, 1981, in a Montreal concert, okay? And he's performing, and this guy commands the audience.
Yeah.
He holds that microphone, and he plays piano, and every movement is precise, even the way he sings and marches around. That guy owns the stage, okay? And you say, okay, who's another great performer who isn't reliant on pitch correction? I mean, that band isn't wearing in-ear monitors. They are pitch perfect, album perfect performance, moving and dancing, and that's because he put in tens of thousands of hours to master the stage and master his voice. And now we've got unbelievable electronic equipment, unbelievable cameras. I mean, you can have the equivalent of $1 million studio for less than $10,000 now, and audio the same way. And is more great music being produced today? I would say hell no. Are artists more talented today?
No.
Absolutely not. Is distribution impossibly simple today where you need no record company, you need no advance, you don't need anything? A schmo.
You can get out there.
Okay. And look, and on one hand, I'm gonna acknowledge, make fun of, and also acknowledge in a positive way. You got Justin Bieber, who basically became a YouTube sensation, right voice, right message, right look, right feel, to captivate millions of viewers on YouTube and turn into an international sensation in a short period of time. Now, it's pretty clear that the kid's been self-destructing, but
just a little.
He started performing at a very early age, and he put in his 10,000 hours of performance, okay, by the time he was discovered. And so YouTube enabled a young person to be found, and the same story with the kid who now plays with Journey, okay? The Philippine kid, guy from Philippines. I'm spacing his name at the moment. You can't mouth his name for me. You don't know his. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm looking to one of my guys off camera. But anyway, it'll pop into my head probably in about 10 minutes. Anyway, here's what's important. There's no excuse now for anything being made by human beings to not be great. We can engineer our way into perfection.
And we have access to all of the information that's ever been
perfect,
created.
Simple distribution, direct to consumer, and you can virtually anyone has the tools to become an international sensation. In a short period of time. But technology isn't the answer. And but what you do need to do is surround yourself with great mentors and great wisdom
and great peers and
exactly. And immerse yourself in a great environment.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know I've got off on a way big tangent there,
but I think it is a good point, because all of that technology has created a generation that thinks all I've got to do is find the right equipment, find the right technology,
and I deserve to be famous.
And I deserve to be famous just for being me. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just because you have a tattoo and you bought a label does not make you special. You're not special.
Well,
okay?
They are special.
Right. Well, let's put it this way. It doesn't. I'm not trying to deface human life here. I'm just talking about it takes raw skill and tens of thousands of hard hours of labor to get great at something. Yeah. And that's what happens. You either invest it or you don't.
Yeah. And it's back to that point you made about...
Playing Xbox ain't going to get you there, baby.
Unless you're going to be the next Xbox sensation.
Probably not. Statistically speaking, there's probably higher probability of you crashing in a jet.
Yeah.
That's just,
Yeah. But it does come back to what you said about, there was the 43 minutes in which you made $1 million, but actually it was...
Boy, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? I'm sorry about that.
But it was 20 years and... 43 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And could you shorten that? I believe that any great skill can be shortened in about 3.5 years.
Yeah.
I think you can learn something and be great at it. Maybe not a total master, but enough to get away with some level of stardom in any niche. And a 3.5-year investment compared to a lifetime isn't a long period of time.
Not at all.
So go ahead, next question.
So one of the big shifts for me was... and it's a very recent one for me, is I'd always thought that getting from 6 figures to 7 figures was just about doing the same things, but doing more of them, doing them harder, doing them faster.
More money, more problems.
Yeah. And I got that sudden realization of the fact that the things that had got me to 6 figures were the things that were keeping me at 6 figures.
Yeah, totally.
What is it that you do differently now, that you think differently now, or the things that you used to do when you were back at the beginning of your career that you don't do anymore? What's changed?
Well, in 6 figures, you can get away and just be you and make some money, right?
Yeah.
And there's oftentimes a lot of minutia that you manage in order to make that happen. You have to learn how to let stuff go, and also surround yourself and be willing to listen to people who tell you how horrible you are at certain things, and hear them, accept their gift. Yeah. And replace yourself. Yeah. And focus on what you're great at. And so, I can tell you, I'm great at 3 things, which is identifying a market trend before it's about to happen and inventing a product that satisfies a market need. Yeah. So we'll call that number 1, usually ahead of the curve. Number 2 is identifying the market and communicating and creating a marketing message that creates desire for that. So it's a combination of influence and persuasion, and setting up a stage for that product to be sold. And then, of course, rapidly implementing and getting that idea made in a way that can be delivered and produce results. Yeah. Okay. After that period of time, I should get out of the way and have a team take that over and then replicate that over and over again. Yeah. So I'm a starter. Yeah. Okay. And so a lot of my problems, business and personal, have been from not getting out of the way at the right period of time. So I would say that's something, and we all need a great support community. So what every billionaire will tell you is they are in the team building business. Okay.
That's a good way of putting it.
And I think that's the distinction between a solopreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who replicates what the entrepreneur does a bunch of times.
Clones themselves.
Right. But that's oftentimes by cloning themselves, they have to also clone their problems. Yeah. Okay. And they often hire themselves. Yes. Okay. And what you do is, if you are a business owner and you hire a bunch of entrepreneurs, big mistake, because those entrepreneurs want to be you when they grow up. Yeah. Okay. Which means they're going to take what they learn and they're going to go out probably when you need them to sustain your business. So. Yeah. So basically what you're doing is you're training your competition. And I know a lot of very successful entrepreneurs who got into that habit and that trap, and they've You know, they say I created the best training programs around, and I created 10 of my arch
nemesis.
Yeah, exactly. So as a billionaire, it's learning how to have a laser-focused mind, and also to not take anything personally.
Yeah.
You really have to become a Zen master to be a very successful billionaire.
Which is a big learning curve for most entrepreneurs, because they're not the most Zen of people.
And you've got to also create a McDonald's environment for every aspect of that business, and also have some mechanism for cornering or dominating a market.
Yeah.
So, you know, you become, again, I think, surround yourself. I'm a gigantic believer in masterminds. I think that's one of the most valuable and important things you can ever do. I belong to a bunch of them. I pay an inordinate sum of money to belong to them every
You
single
invest.
year. I do. I do. It is a great investment. I have a friend who has a mastermind, and his rule is, okay, it costs $25,000 to belong to this mastermind, and if you don't make your investment back, you're not allowed to join again. How do you like that one?
I like that.
Like, what?
I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And so, you know, and I think that's another very important aspect, which is creating exclusivity, saying, why should I take you on as my customer?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a reversal.
Absolutely. A lot of people think it's why should you hire me as a person? Yeah.
Look at my success stories. Why do you think you'll actually implement and get results?
Yeah.
Prove to me. Okay, that's a very, very important way to think.
Yeah, it's a very powerful.
Yep. And I think that's something that Richard Branson has done with Virgin and all of their brands. Is they create this sense of exclusivity.
Yeah.
You know, you really feel like a rock star buying their products. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it comes down to the fact that they treat their customers like rock stars as well.
Big part of it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Service is a huge thing. So, with the organization that you've built, you must have hundreds of staff, right?
No, we've got about 30 people.
30 people.
And look, at our peak, I think we probably had 65. And what I mistakenly did, and again, this was at a period of time when it made some sense, but I had 25 creative people.
Right.
And the challenge was we're overproducing creative and not on marketing and sales. And if you're carrying around more than $500,000 in overhead a month, that means, let's see, you do the math, that means you've got to clear about $7 million just to cover your overhead, not including what you need for product creation development and for marketing. It wasn't sustainable. So I think as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, you have to make hard decisions, and you also have to maintain profitability. And you know, you're going to the markets, there's cycles going on all the time. You can't predict this. The one thing that is your greatest asset are your existing customers. Yeah. And treating them right and giving them a continued value and evolving rapidly. Yeah. You have to evolve significantly faster than the market is evolving, because not every evolution is going to appeal to all your customers and clients, right? Yeah. So there's a tremendous number of variables in here that I don't think they're quantifiable.
Yeah.
But again, it's a game of leverage. Yeah. And I think a big part of that is becoming a very, very powerful storyteller, becoming really good at acquiring a lot of data and being able to organize and structure a lot of variables in your mind and see a potential future, communicate that.
And that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs aren't good at. They're not the numbers and data people. They're the big ideas, what's the next product, what's the next direction, and they miss out on that analysis.
So you gotta give up control and pass it along to someone who's better at that than you, and accept their coaching and their advice. And again, I will say, and I say this shamelessly, I have taken advice from the wrong people. Yeah. I have hired the wrong people many, many times, and and trusted the wrong people. And everyone's got a story, right? I'm not saying I'm right about anything, but at some point you got to look at it and say, okay, this isn't working right now. It used to work, so what are we going to do to shift the focus and change and operate and move with integrity and also intelligently. So that's the wave we surf.
Yeah, but and again, that's one of the difficult things for entrepreneurs is admitting, damn, I screwed up.
Fail fast.
Yeah, it's almost like it takes away our significance.
And that's another thing you cannot you can't take anything personally.
Yeah.
Recently, I just went through a intense personal development process. It's called the Hoffman process, which I recommend to anyone. And in there, they've got a phrase which is, everyone's guilty and no one is to blame. And that, if you rest and meditate on that just for a little while, it is a very, very deep statement. And so, we all make mistakes. And most of the time, they're unintentional.
Yeah.
And it's because we are operating with limited information or data, or we're acting too quickly and thinking too slowly.
Yeah.
And there was one gigantic lesson that I learned. Now it's been a year ago. I had cancer. Didn't know if I was going to live, and frankly nearly died. And I went through surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. And during that time, I had on average about an hour of usable time per day to function.
Yeah.
Between my family, my son, my wife, my friends, and my business, that's what I had. And a lot got done because I spent a lot more time thinking.
Yeah.
And I didn't need to do.
Yeah.
Doing isn't the problem. It's thinking straight and being efficient and looking for leverage.
And something like that would certainly focus you on.
You look at life and everything else a little bit differently. So I think there's a big lesson there, which is as entrepreneurs, again, with this impending sense of doom that we have, and we associate with our businesses, and we think our businesses are us, and if it fails, that we're failures.
Yeah.
And you know what? The greatest entrepreneurs, most of them have been bankrupt several times over, and they get right back up, and they do not let a moment define who they are.
Yeah.
And I think those are all important, valuable lessons as well.
Yeah, no, that is.
So give yourself permission to just be a complete F-up,
Yeah.
It's like,
hey, you screwed up.
Yeah.
Move on.
As long as no one died.
Yep. What do you most enjoy about your lifestyle, your business? I mean, you live in what is pretty much close to being paradise. You've got the Tesla. What makes you come back into the office each day? And
the stuff doesn't matter. It means nothing to me now. There's a big part of me that's like, okay, I've kind of had all that, and it's like, okay, it's fun and everything, but it doesn't define who I am. And frankly, I could gladly become anonymous.
Yeah.
And what matters most is my wife, my son. I have a remarkable family that I'm from, and I really appreciate where I came from. And I used to have, for a long time, I spent a lot of time proving that I'm better than where I thought I came from, that somehow there was something wrong with that. So there's a lot of shame and fear that I had to recognize and acknowledge that just comes from years of work. But when it comes to professional, again, I said at the very beginning, maybe I didn't say this, but there are 4 words that I live for, which is when someone walks up and they've read a book, gone through a course, and they say, "You changed my life." Okay?
Yeah.
And the most satisfying, incredible experience is when we have a live event, and we always provide 2 tickets to come. And we want someone to bring their spouse.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, it's an entrepreneur whose spouse thinks they're nuts, okay, and has dealt with their craziness for 10 or 20 or 30 years, and it's sort of like, oh, they're chasing another shiny object and another da-da-da-da-da, whatever it is. There's a big, long story there, and there's a lot of failures, and this entrepreneur knows that there is a way out of this cycle, that there is a way out of being, and there's nothing wrong with being ordinary, but they know that they've got a gift and something big inside them that has to come out.
They've got to share it.
And finally, they have a breakthrough. So one of the spouses, and it's men and women, so it's whatever they are, whoever it is, we've got an equal share of men and women in all
I've been
of our
to the
programs.
events. And
and one of them is crying and says, for 20 years I thought my spouse was crazy. I've almost left. And when they got your program, I was furious because it was another shiny object. But they implemented, they got results, and our lives have changed. Our children have a better life, and you changed my life. And it's like,
Yeah.
And the tears are flowing, and it's like, that's what I live for. It's, you know, it's to see a transformation take place, a business transformation, a personal transformation, and that, once you have that happen in any kind of a business environment, and look, if you have a good kid who turns out good, as far as I'm concerned, you won the race.
Yeah.
Right. But look, making babies doesn't require any skill.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just like all you got to have is the parts, right? But investing in a child and creating a success is one thing. But investing in someone else, and them investing in you, and being able to consistently produce measurable, irrefutable proof that what your vision, your dream, or your product is actually works, that's a great gift.
Yeah.
It certainly motivates me. And there's a lot of things that I don't enjoy about business. And I've oftentimes spent 80% of my time doing things I'm neither good at nor like to do in order to do the things I love to do. And a huge part of my life now is about finding and building a team that can, take care of those things. And that's part of that. You have to get to know who you are and what you're great at.
Yeah.
And have that opportunity and be able to be in that space for just a little while.
Yeah. And not be afraid of who you are as well. Because
That's right.
you discover things
That's
along
called
the
therapy,
way.
my friend. Yeah, exactly.
Best form of therapy there is, though.
Yeah, it is.
No, I can associate with that because I spent years getting over. My parents were waiter. My father was a waiter. My mother was a housekeeper in a hotel.
Yeah.
My grandparents were peasant farmers in Spain, and a lot of my energy was being sapped by not being where I'd come from.
Yeah.
And it was when I embraced that and thought,
Yeah.
you know what? Actually, that got my family to where they are. If it hadn't been for that, they wouldn't have moved to England.
Right.
If I hadn't been in England, I wouldn't have gone through the process that I went through.
That's right.
It
made you strong, made you a fighter, made you a survivor.
Yeah.
And look at you now.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And I was in remedial English classes as a kid.
Right. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And that is a common thread amongst virtually every entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And as I've recently learned, this is getting off on a little bit of a deep end, but one thing I've recognized and seen amongst a lot of successful entrepreneurs is they reach a certain stage in their life where they've finally achieved. And in order to achieve, and now they've got the means to get all the shiny objects.
Yeah.
Okay? Yachts, very expensive cars, big houses, 3, 4, 5 marriages. Their kids hate them.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get whatever it is that's missing, and what's been missing is love. And it's usually because what they did is along the way, in order to achieve this place, the race that they thought they were getting to, they sacrificed their emotional self.
Yeah.
They killed it, overdeveloped their intellectual survival self, and it's really good.
Yeah.
They're really good at it. But somewhere there's a little
that
boy
little
or a little
hole.
girl that just wanted to be loved and accepted, right? And so inside of this, I think, whenever that moment occurs, whether you're 20 years old or you're 50 or 70, I've seen it happen with a 78-year-old recently, where he just, had that big aha. And you'll find that it'll make you a greater giver, a greater business person, entrepreneur, because you're going to be doing it for different reasons. Yeah. And I have a mentor, a Zazen teacher who I spend time with now, who gave me this book called He, and it's about finding your search for the Grail, which is a common theme, and a question to ask yourself. So whatever that thing is that you think you need, whether it's $1 million or $10 million of the jet or the blah, 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 whatever it is that you think is going to make that big difference, ask yourself the simple question, to whom does the Grail serve? Okay? Yeah. So again, you're chasing this thing. You're thinking when you get it, it's going to be, and mine for my life was when I have $1 million. Yeah. Well, guess what?
You've got
who gives a rat's ass about it? It's like, am I happy? And am I spending time with my child? Yeah. Or am I worried about what happens when I lose that $1 million or that 5 or that 10 or the 100 or the billion? Because that's what's going on inside an empty life.
Yeah.
All right. That got way too deep.
It did.
But
so let's lighten it up a bit.
Yeah.
Being here is a little bit like being on the Actors Studio, and I have got the James Lipton
Look at you.
beard going on.
Yeah.
If this was the Actors Studio, what question would you hate to be asked?
Man, I almost died, and I got nothing. Here's what I'd hate to be asked is, shoot. What I hate to be asked. God. I don't have anything that pops into my head right now. It's like I'm still so raw from this life experience that I just came off of that. I honestly, this is something I dealt with. It's like, and again, I hope this isn't too freaking heavy, but it's like I accepted my own death.
Yeah.
I felt what it was like, and my body shut down, and I accepted it. I said goodbye to everyone who I needed to say goodbye to, and I honestly could say at that point. And this isn't exactly answering the question, but it was like I could have passed and said this was not a wasted life.
Which is a great thought to have.
And so if we turn that in, I'm sure there's a way to phrase that and ask it in such a way as your life been a waste or has it been of value? And I honestly believe that the work I've done has positively affected lives. Yeah. And I think I believe that the world has been a better place because I've been here and I've contributed to the well-being of more people than I may have hurt along the way, along the path.
Well, actually, I mean, that brings me to a good point, which is one of the things I love about being associated with you, working with you, is that you do give so much. Not just through the business, but I mean, you and your wife have got that, just like my child, where you're working with families in Africa that have been ripped apart by AIDS and everything else. To me, that is, that giving is part of the journey to success, whereas a lot of people wait to be successful and they say, when I'm successful, I'll give and I'll give.
That's why tithing is such a miraculously beautiful thing. I mean, that's in every great religious practice. It's a huge part of it. And those who practice it realize there's plenty. There's plenty left. Well, there's enough left for me, even when I've given away 10 or 15 or 20%.
Yeah. I mean, when my business recovered, at the depths of the post-2008 dip.
Yeah.
I flew to, it was the year when Haiti almost disappeared off the map. So I flew to Canada, ran a workshop, and I just said, look, I don't want anything to pay for the tickets. I don't want anything to pay for the hotel, for anything for me. Every penny that goes in is going to go to rebuilding Haiti. And on the back of that, suddenly it was like, okay, we'll open the floodgates now.
Yeah. The universe has this funny habit of when you're chasing something because you're desperate. It's sort of like meeting girls. Okay, everyone can smell desperation. Yeah. It's like blood in the air. Okay, no one wants to be associated with desperation. But when you're giving, what you do is you carry around an air of abundance. Yeah. Okay, people can smell it and feel it, and they want to be part of that too. And they don't know what it is. It's palpable, but not and detectable, but it's hard, and I think that's a huge part of that, is that it gives you a completely different energy that's very, very attractive to other people. Yeah. And it is I'm sure once we've got the scientific data that's capable of measuring it, that will be a measurable, visible quality through a lens, and it'll be like abundance-minded, abundance-minded, abundance-minded. It will be an energetic pattern. Just like now we finally have the ability to measure brain function with MRIs.
Yeah. So, we're coming to the
end we've got about 5 minutes before we run out of space.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We filled the cards up.
Yeah, we did.
So, there's a lot of people watching this and thinking, it's great for you, you're a millionaire, whatever.
Broke many times,
and they can't
on the brink of failure more times than I care to admit. Okay?
So if everything got taken away, all the things, but also the customers, the money, the infrastructure that you build around you, what would you do to get back up?
Sure. Well, I am writing a new book right now called The Big Lever, and it's all about what I do. and what I've learned from everyone else. But the short version of it is this. The first thing I would do is I would probably, well, you know, if I had, all I had was my experience, I'd go out and I would consult with people on a limited basis. But the other thing I would do is I would find someone who owns relationships with people that I know I could serve and support and help. And I would ask them a simple question. What could I give to you? How could I support you and give something to your following and your audience absolutely free of charge that would add huge benefit and value to them and to you? I would make that, and that would become essentially a lever. You know, that's the beam to get underneath my target audience, and the fulcrum is that tool, and the whole idea is you can move there. You know, Archimedes said that I can move the world if I have a lever that's large enough, right? And it's really a fulcrum. But in any case, a lever is a simple machine that's repeatable, and I believe that if you model the wisdom and the experience of your mentors, you can create lots of little levers around you that are repeatable over and over again. So what I've told people, and I know this to be true because I've done it now, I know that in 90 days I could identify the target audience, identify the owners of those audiences, provide massive value to both parties, build rapport, create a product, and sell it and generate 7 figures easily in 90 days. Yeah. Probably do it in less time, but I wouldn't have to because I think the part of it is, this is the distinction between, at some point, when you know that you can do it again and you'll be okay. And that was a huge developmental thing for me that took away a lot of fear as a man with my wife, when I wasn't afraid anymore, that I knew that I was enough. Yeah. And that, I think, beyond all this stuff, beyond all these strategies and techniques and tactics and all this other stuff, it's like, it's just knowing that you're going to be fine. You know, the universe has a funny way of providing when you need the support, when you're not desperate.
Yes.
Okay? Desperate fear is not the answer to success.
Well, listen, it has been fantastic. I can honestly say that you have changed my life.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
So thank you for that.
It's my pleasure.
And thank you for watching. Thank you to Mike, and we'll see you in the next video.